Hi guys, happy Sunday. I hope we're having a good day so far, a good week, and a good 2021 despite everything that is going on. But we have the rest of this year to make it better. That's 365 minus 17. Um, I'm not doing the math. I can't do math. I am in my room. You can tell it's my room because of my Squishmallow collection. There's a lot more behind the camera, but these are the ones I'm not embarrassed of. Baby Yoda, aka Grogu. Or no, he's Grogu, aka Baby Yoda. And then Wendy. She is my favorite. Wendy is my favorite. And then we also have my cat, Steve. Hey, Stevie. Wake up. Look at him. Incredible. He can do anything. Anyway, so this week is week 3 of our Vibe series, and I really like that word, vibes. I think it's a really cool word that might just be the older Gen Z and me being like, vibes, good vibes. And so to jump right into it, this week's topic is fear, and to like kind of not jump right into it, I meant like ease us right into it. I'm gonna tell a story about one time where I was really scared. It was the first time I was flying. I wasn't flying a plane, but I was going on a plane for the first time, and I was 17 years old. I think I was 17 years old. I have no concept of time. And so I had heard so many stories from people about how planes are so cool and how they're much safer than cars and how you're more likely to get bit by a shark than get in a plane crash. And from statistics that I know, you're also more likely to get burnt by like extreme, like die from extreme sunburn than get bit by a shark. So the fact that like those statistics kind of like so basically like everyone was telling me, Bailey, you're gonna be fine on a plane. I still was like, absolutely not. Like, I kept thinking this plane could just plummet, and I'll end up on a deserted island with a beach ball named Wilson. And the fact that I already have one of those, that I got for my birthday one year, is kind of scary. I've had this for years. And my mom, when she was like in labor with me, was watching Castaway. So I think, my fate at this time, obviously I survived and I've been on a plane like 2 more times after that. My fate at this time was kind of settled for me. I'm going to put him back there. And so, but like I had to go on this plane. And you know why? The Houston mission trip. And this trip ended up being like the best trip I had ever been on. So that's some good foreshadowing for this story. And so our flight was leaving at like 4 a.m. I think, and so I don't think I slept that day. And so it was, not only was it my first time on a plane, but my first time in an airport too. And so Tampa International, I've seen it before. It's huge. It's overwhelming. But Tampa International at 3 a.m. Is chef's kiss. There was not a lot of people. It was a lot more calm than I anticipated, and for some reason I thought everybody took early morning flights so they can have the rest of the day and whatever they're going. That just makes sense, but that's just not how it is. So the majority of the people were either sleeping or they were in the Starbucks line. And the fact that Corey and Casey made us get there like 3 hours before our flight, I think that's what it was. Again, no concept of time. Me and my best friend Lexi spent most of the time in the Starbucks line, and we got these beautiful drinks. It was just like vanilla coffee and an iced chai, but like I was so tired that they looked like the best thing I had ever seen. They were just so pretty. Um, and so this seems like a lot of extra information. I know, I get it. Um, but like this is distracting you guys from the fact that this was my first time on a plane as much as it distracted me. I'm lollygagging in this airport, like not even remembering the fact that I might die in 2 hours. Like I might go down on a plane with my bestie Lexi. Like besties for life, even in the afterlife. Anyway, um, it was just I was distracted. Like I was so afraid, but like I had other things to distract me. And so the moment had came, boarding time. I was standing in line, and my friend Andrew, who is in my small group, tall kid, y'all probably seen him before, really tall man. He looked at me, and I was like shaking, and I was like, Andrew, I'm just so scared. And he goes, Why? What are you scared of? Dying? Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna do that. I was like, stop, stop. And he had been on a plane to like Russia before, so it's not that bad for him. But I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna end up on a deserted island with UPS packages just rolling in, and I'm gonna have to sleep on the ground. Like anyway, we got on the plane. I got the window seat because everyone said I needed to see the window seat when on my first flight. And then the plane started moving. And if you've ever been on a plane before, it's pretty weird. They're like, we're getting ready for liftoff. And then they go, like, kind of like Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens. It's like 0 to 60, it seems like. I'm like, how do they have enough room to go this fast for this long? And then we started going, and everyone's like, start popping your ears. I was like, popping my ears. So then at that point, I got overwhelmed, and then I started praying. And I prayed the entire way up until we were in the clouds. And as soon as I looked out my window, I saw the most beautiful sunset of sunrise. It was 4 a.m. At a height I didn't even think existed. I look up into the sky and think, oh, it's right there. Like, there's no way it can get that high. There's no way it could get that high. And so as soon as I looked out and saw the sunrise, I felt calm. I felt a sense of peace in God and Jesus, and I felt comfortable lifting up from prayer, and I just felt like God was taking this like plane and was like a kid plays with like a toy plane, like whatever. Like, I felt safe, and God wasn't gonna drop us. And so like I started to think, hey, maybe the statistics were right. Maybe I am safe. And so everything I had feared had disappeared at that point. And not to say it wasn't valid, but I had no idea that I didn't have to worry about anything. And so the cool thing about this sermon series is that it's called Vibes, right? It's the coolest word ever, like I said. But in this series, vibes reference emotions. And we're talking about emotions that we feel at some point in our lives. Like Megan talked about anger last week. Like, I get angry sometimes. I'm afraid almost every day about like something. And so these things are stuff that makes us human. We feel these things every single day. Feelings are the most valid thing you could ever have. So before we get into the nasty thing called fear, I want to like remind us that and know that like your fears and other feelings are valid. They are your fears. Don't let anybody ever make you feel embarrassed or self-conscious about what you're afraid of, because whatever makes you comfortable is what matters. And if it makes you uncomfortable, then like that's nobody else's business except yours. Your feelings are valid, and never forget that. I have an irrational fear of throwing up. Make fun of me all you want, but it's real. It's real. And planes. Most of you have probably been on a plane more than once in your life when you're like, why were you so afraid? I don't know. But that's okay, because like when you're afraid of things, it's fine. And so everyone has experienced fear in one form or another. Sometimes it keeps us from enjoying new things or even trying them in the first place. I.e., when I went on a plane for the first time, I didn't get to see the way up. I saw the way up the next time I went on a plane, but at that moment, I didn't see us go all the way up. And so sometimes it can hurt our relationships or make us overthink about simple things in life. It creates this thing in our head that can convince us that things in life aren't true or they're bad, like too good to be true type mindset. Like that's not supposed to happen. Like, I'm not doing that. That's bad. I'm afraid of it. And so the craziest thing is that this nasty thing is what is part of what makes us human. Like I said, if we didn't experience fear or hesitation, I'm sure the human race would be like dodos from Ice Age and just jumping off cliffs whenever they felt like it. Like jumping off a watermelon, jumping off a cliff for the last watermelon. We would be doing that without fear or hesitation. Like that, I think that's what saves us most of the time. And so we are who we are today because of the years and years and years of fear experience that our ancestors and other people have learned from and improved upon. For example, how do we think people got up to their second-story homes without the stair railings? I'm assuming, like, stair railings is the point of this example. I'm sure that there was some moment in time where somebody built a set of stairs in the middle of the house with no railings, and it was rickety and just old, and like they're like, oh, grandma can't go up the stairs to her room because she's too afraid that she's gonna fall up the stairs, and now I'm afraid I'm gonna fall up the stairs. What if I break my leg? Now, what if I just stick like a few sticks into the stairs so that we can hang on to them, and it'll create a barrier between falling off and the stairs? Genius. Adapt, overcome, whatever that is. But that's what I'm talking about. Is like they feared these things, they fixed these things, and improved upon it, and like passed it down. Now we have stair railings whenever there's stairs. sometimes outside there's no stair railings, and I get really nervous. I go like one step at a time, like babies do, because I feel like I'm gonna fall off. But I'm only 5'2", so it's not like I'm gonna fall that far. Anyway, our ability to gather information from experience and project it into things and ideas for the future comes with two sides, the fear side and the hope side. And I think we can all agree that the hope side is pretty incredible. And I, for one, love to imagine and dream about things in the future. And I love living in the moment, too. I say don't stress about anything until you have to, like that kind of thing. But when I am so weird about this thing. I am going to see my best friend Faith in February, and I'm going to see February 18th. So it's a little over, it's over a month away, like a little over a month away, right? I'm going to see her. I have already, like a week ago, I started planning out what I'm going to wear each day, down to the earrings, down to my earrings that I wear. I started planning that out last week, over a month in advance. And Leslie, who I'm going with also, she's like, girl, like, why are you doing this? Why are you making a packing list over a month in advance? It's because I like to plan and think about the future, and it gets me excited. I also have a Pinterest board for my future wedding. I'm not getting married anytime soon. I'm 19. Anyway, it's fun and I like it. That's like dreaming about things in the future. And then what ifs can generate. Like when you start to think about like the future and like things that you're excited about or afraid of, you can get what ifs in your mind. Like, for example, I start to plan ahead for my outfits because my what if is, what if I spill something on myself that morning and I have to change? I have a backup outfit, and I had already packed it. It's just, what if I forget something? What if I regret not bringing something? I don't have to worry about that because I've planned like a month in advance. And so, but also there's good what ifs too. Like, what if somebody compliments on my cute outfit? Cool, that's a good one. What if I spill coffee on myself? That's a bad one. Things can go 50-50. Fear and hope, like 50-50, whatever. And so think about the last time you were afraid of something and how much your day was spent thinking about it. Like maybe you had an important test in your 7th period and it's all you could think about in your other classes. Or maybe you were cast as a lead in your school's play for the first time and opening night is tonight. Like I think of like what I would be thinking if I was cast as a lead. I have never been cast as a lead, but if I had opening night later that day and I was in school, I'd be like, what if I forget my lines? What if I mess up my blocking? What if I don't, what if I miss a cue? Like, all these things. And so through all of this, there's some good news. Jesus had a lot to say about fear. And there was a lot of it. Like, we hear a lot where he's just like, fear not. Like, okay, cool. Like, am I just supposed to stop being afraid? Like, no, there's context to it too, which brings us to our scripture tonight. And it's a couple different things, but it revolves around Matthew 10, verse 16. And as a preface, Jesus had 12 disciples. He had 12 homies going around with him. He was their teacher and also their friend, right? And it's almost like how Casey and Megan are to me. Like, they are my teachers, but they're also like Miss Casey and Maggie. Like, they are my friends, and I can text them, right? And so Matthew 10:16 says, I'm going to send you out like sheep among wolves. Girl, I'm going to repeat that one more time. I'm going to send you out like sheep among wolves. Girl, what? That's absolutely concerning. You want to send me out as a prey to the predator, huh? Like, he means well. And so stay with me. He later reiterates, like, what would happen to them. You're going to go out and get beaten and arrested by these predators. But, like, don't be afraid. You'll be fine. He was like, no, it's okay. You'll be, like, beaten and everything. Just don't be afraid. If you're afraid, don't be. If you're afraid, don't be. No, like, even though all this seems suspicious, it's part of an even bigger story. And so, y'all know about the whole, like, Jesus walking on water story, right? Well, there was a story right before, and we're going to get to that one, where Jesus takes his disciples onto a boat, and then this boat starts rocking, there's a huge storm, and Jesus is asleep. Jesus is asleep this entire time, and all of his disciples are running around, they're like, oh my gosh, like, we're going to die, like, Jesus, like, we need help, like, oh my gosh, winds are crazy, like, Jesus, wake up, we need your help. And Jesus wakes up, and he's like, why are y'all, like, this is exactly what he says. You of little faith, why are you so afraid? I mean, I don't know, there's a storm rocking our world out there. And he, human of all humans, half God, half human, but, like, entirely both in some way, he was chilling. He was sleeping during this whole thing. I'm sure, like, if he, like, lived during this time, he'd be a Floridian because like we sleep through hurricanes, and he was just asleep and not afraid, while other humans were afraid too. And so he gets up, he doesn't panic, and he calms the storm. He's like stop, and like it stops. And so this story shows that no matter the circumstances, Jesus stays calm. Like no matter what, he could have died, but he didn't because he stayed calm and he stopped the storm. And so this isn't to say Jesus was calm, therefore you don't have an excuse to not be. No, like obviously Jesus was Jesus, and even though he's one with us, he is one with God as well. So he had other things in mind. So he walked out, shouted up the winds and the waves. He had other things. Now, Jesus would never intentionally put us in danger, and I find a lot of comfort in that too. So, like, you hear, like, oh, he knew this was going to happen. Like, yeah, he did, but he didn't do this on purpose. You know, sometimes we can think, oh, this bad thing happened. Why would God, if God loves me, why would this happen to me? Like, things don't happen to us on purpose. God doesn't spite us on purpose. Like, he doesn't spite us, period. Like, things just happen. Bad things happen to make us grow stronger, and they wouldn't happen to us if God didn't. Like if God knew we couldn't handle it. That's what I live by. Like that's very important. And so their confidence in Jesus shot up after like that whole scenario. They're like, oh my gosh, this man is so much bigger than the winds and the waves. Like he can do anything. And so this goes back to the conversation about wolves and the sheep, right? He says in Matthew 10:28, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill your soul. So like in other words, if you're going to fear something, might as well make sure it's the right thing. And so almost like he was saying, remember the boat ride and how y'all woke me up for no reason? Y'all saw how much stronger I am compared to the winds and the waves, right? And so you will always be safe and protected from your fears so long as you are confident in me and trust in me. He ends up taking them on another field trip on the water. And I'm sure at this point they were a little afraid to go back on the water. So it was probably like a scenario where Jesus was like, come on kids, get in the car, we're going to Disney World. And they were like, yeah, but then Jesus ended up taking them to the dentist. You know that thing? He was like, let's get on the boat, woo! Hey, I'll see you on the other side. The boat takes off. They're like, oh my God, what? And so Jesus sent his disciples onto the Sea of Galilee and was going to meet them on the other side. And so, of course, the winds and the waves started roaring again and shaking them about. And they were like, oh my gosh, Jesus isn't here to save us. What are we going to do? We're going to die. We're going to die out here again because Jesus decided not to come with us. And so out of nowhere, he starts walking on water. He shows up. He's like, hey. Like, you know, he shows up and he's walking on water. And I got to find my place. And so when he shows up walking on water to calm the winds and the waves, this was much bigger than the first time because he was sleeping the first time. Now they see that this man is walking and defying gravity, and he is so much bigger that literally everything. If he can beat gravity, he can do anything, of course. And so it's a weird turn of events and can be confusing sometimes. But the biggest takeaway, you know, from these stories is the fact that through troubling times and turmoil of the worst kind, Jesus still came out on top, and it was effortless. You know, like Jesus said, fear not, for I am with you, right? And at that point, that was so much clearer because, like, he had walked on water, he had calmed the winds and waves, and later, he died and resurrected again. That resurrection through a death like his, and he still came back, was much bigger than their fears. He beat death. He beat gravity, and then he beat death. What else can this man do? And so that's our bottom line. That brings us to our bottom line for the night. And it's Jesus is bigger than your worst fears. And because of Jesus, fear doesn't get to be the boss of you. That's it. Fear does not get to be the boss of you with Jesus. And so to apply this to our lives, right? So remember how I said my fear of flying went away after I did all the praying and looked outside and saw the most beautiful sunrise? That's exactly what I want you guys to do this week to apply this message. I want you to go on a plane and find the sunrise. No. That's not what I mean. Whenever you start to overthink or be afraid of something, pray and talk to God until you're calm and collected. Identify things in your life that you're grateful for, goals that you strive for, goals that you have already accomplished, good things in your life that have happened to you recently, and trust in Jesus that you will keep doing these good things in your life, especially triumphing your fears. And of course, we will feel fear every now and then. That's not a terrible thing. It's not bad. Praying one time doesn't completely erase the feeling, unfortunately. We're only human, and it's normal to be fearful. In 1 Peter 5:7, Peter says, "Cast all your anxiety onto him because he cares for you." Point blank period. Something fun that I like to do in relation to this verse is start a fire and pretend it's God. I know this sounds crazy, and it was his idea first. Bernie Bush, that was his idea. Y'all might have seen this before, but pretend the fire is God and write on a piece of paper whatever it is that you're afraid of and pray over it and throw it in the fire. That's gonna be our activity for tonight. Is we're gonna write on papers. You have papers and pens in your small group box, and there's gonna be a fire out on the youth patio that you guys can go out to whenever you're ready. It says it on your small group questions, whatever. And you're gonna write, if you feel comfortable, write what you are afraid of currently, or what you've always been afraid of. Like, it can be something that's recent, like I'm afraid of this test that's tomorrow, my midterm, or it can be something like me where I've been afraid of throwing up my whole life. Sorry, it's funny because it's like normal. Anyway, and so then when you write it down, you pray over it, be like, God, take this away from me. This is my fear. I trust in you that you're bigger than it, and throw it in the fire. It's so fun. We've done this exact thing at prayer stations at Winter Retreat a couple years in a row. Of Winter Retreat, RIP. For 2021, that is. We had Winter Retreat 2020. I think we forget that. And so I remember one time, actually, this is not related, the Fire Bowl. I think it was last year, the Fire Bowl, or the year before. The Fire Bowl got so big that we had to put it out, and that station was out of order for like 10 minutes. And it's not related, like I said, but it's so funny, and I don't think it got enough recognition in its time. Back to what I was saying. There's a fire pit on the youth patio, so take the papers in your small group boxes and do exactly what I was saying. When y'all are ready, you can head out to the fire pit and make it happen. At this point, it might be like me going and being like, okay, you guys are ready, or like Megan and like doing whatever. But like, if you feel comfortable enough, you don't have to do this, of course. If you feel comfortable enough doing this, I highly suggest it because it is like a nice thing to get off your chest. To wrap this up, I hope that you'll remember these feelings, these vibes and emotions, and that we don't have control over, especially fear. That we don't have control over, but we won't let them control us. Does that make sense? Like, we can't control the fact that we feel. Like, feelings are valid, we can't help it. But these feelings that we do feel aren't going to control us. They won't take over our lives. We can feel them, but they won't take control. We need to know that we can learn from our emotions, and because of Jesus, they don't have to be the boss of us. So together we can help each other, not not be afraid when we get afraid. We can be each other's like, if you're afraid, don't be. That's a heart. That looks more like a potato. I'm so sorry. What is it? Yeah. That's it. Together we can help each other just not be afraid when we get afraid. If you're afraid, just don't be. I love saying that. Anyway, let's pray. Dear God, thank you for this day and all the days to follow. God, I pray over each and every one of these people who are, each and every one of these students and leaders who are watching this, and anybody else who decides to find this on YouTube. I pray that they lift up their fears to you and that they are no longer afraid and that they trust in you with everything that they have so that you can guide them into a life of calmness and peace, and that whenever they are afraid, they know they can look to you and be calm and peaceful and feel peace. Thank you, God, for this week. I pray that everyone has a good week at school and a good week elsewhere. God, I pray over the coronavirus and that it just stops infecting people. And I pray for this new year. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.